Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Tuesday edition of the Computer America Show. Ben and I have a really good program set up for you. In the second hour, we're going to have Reltio, excuse me, talking about turning data into information and knowledge assets. It's a little vertical, but we're going to talk about big data and why it's still hot with with the CEO and founder of Reltio, Manoush Sood, in the second hour. In the first hour, though, we're going to talk about home automation. Sentri is our guest this hour. We're going to have the company's co-founder and CMO with us on the show, and she's going to talk about home automation and what they're doing in the area of home automation. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. I think you're going to enjoy this one. We'll be starting in about
1 minute until showtime.
1 minute. Stand by. Fifteen seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And welcome into a Tuesday edition of the program. Things are a little kind of crazy today, but everything is in place. In the second hour of the show, we have scheduled Reltio. This is a company that's going to here to talk about big data and why big data is still hot and what needs to change. We're going to have Manoush Sood, who is the CEO and founder of Reltio, in the second hour of the show. In the first hour of the show, though, we're going to talk about something that I really like, and that is home automation. Being able to control your home not only when you're in your home, but when you're away from your home, and including locking doors, temperature, lighting. It's a popular topic in this age.
Whoa. People leave their house?
Yes, they do leave their house.
I don't know if I buy into the premise.
Well, it could be. But yeah, people actually do leave their homes from time to time, but they still want to be able to control what goes on. Ben makes a good point. I think today's more and more people are leaving their homes less and less because you can do so much from your home today. You can run your business, do everything. Why bother?
I'll be fair though. There are two kinds of people. There are those who can't stand being in the house for more than 2 days straight, and then there are those who would be perfectly happy spending a week straight in their house. There's two camps. They're neither one's wrong, but
Well, which camp?
I'm obviously of the camp that why leave the house? You can have pizza delivered directly to your door. What else do you need?
What if you want Chinese food though?
Craig, they have this great invention. It's called a phone, and you can call people that will deliver you Chinese, Italian, all these great foods.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're of the mindset that you would never leave home, or you would leave home maybe once a week or twice, maybe once every 2 weeks. I
do not approve of shut-inery, but
Shut-in. I mean, how are you going to meet girls? I mean, if you stay shut in.
The internet is an amazing place.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you can meet them virtually, but eventually you need the tactile. You have to touch.
Then they come to your home. See?
I see.
Everything comes to your doorstep. It's
Yep.
wonderful. But
Yep.
even for those times when you do leave, you do need something to keep an eye on it.
Just like room service, hot and cold running women. I
Pretty
like it.
much.
Okay, well, there it is. If you have a comment or a question about to our guest or to us, anything we're talking about tonight, give us a call at 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. That'll get you on and get you through. Email we have set up when we're live and on the air. It is live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. A lot of people use that when they don't want to go on the air, but they still have a question. That's a great way to do that. You can also join us in our live interactive chat room. From our homepage at computeramerica.com, just click the chat room /live video button. It's right there on the homepage. You'll get a split screen on the left-hand side. You'll get a form that allows you to enter into our chat room. You put a username. That's the name you'll be known by. When you go into the chat room, you click the connect button, and your browser moves you into the chat room. It's just that simple. We'd love to see you in there. Please join us. It's when we're live, it is up and running, and I see a lot of people going in there as we speak. Let's see what else. Also, when sharing that same page is our live Computer America video streaming page. Now, not only can you listen to the Computer America show, but you can also now watch us. That's right, well, live. When you go to the chat room page, the live video will begin to start automatically. You don't have to do anything, and you can just start to watch the show. You can listen to us, watch us. Ben is on, myself is on. Our guest is not on video tonight, but sometimes we do. I know tomorrow, I know Thursday night, we're going to have our correspondent on our All Linux show. He will be on the live video stream, Marcel Gagne, and he'll have a glass of wine, I'm sure, with him when he does the interview. It's a cool guy. Okay, so that's how you get in touch with us. That's how you interact with the show and all the different things. I just want to say hello to welcome a new person in our in the chat room, Gigi. Okay, so let's get started. Unless anything else you want to mention, Ben?
Anything else I want to mention? No, nothing of note happened today, so I think we should just on with the show.
Okay, well, let's do it. Our guest this hour, as I said, is going to be talking about home automation, and her company is called Sentri, S-E-N-T-R-A, and it's a complete home monitoring and home automation solution in one beautiful display. Really, and it looks almost like an iPad. Really, Sentry now adapts to your home and delivers personalized alerts, along with a live high-definition video feed straight to your smartphone, no matter where you are. Here with us is Sentry's CEO and co-founder, Wendy Chi. Wendy, welcome into the Computer America Show. How are you?
Hey, Greg. Thanks so much. It's really great to be here.
Yes, and we're glad to have you. This is a very cool product. Now, tell us a little bit about a background about Sentry. How did this all kind of come about, and how did the company get started?
Sure. So our team, including myself, there's 4 co-founders, and we all kind of come from a background of consumer electronics and mobile. And we've built products for a long time collectively, over 30 years of experience building mobile products for companies such as HTC, Acer, Asus, and Microsoft. Mm-hmm. And what we really saw was that there was this need for really consumer-friendly home automation devices. Mm-hmm. And especially for urban dwellers. So like, for example, like myself, I live in San Francisco. I've always been a renter. I have a small apartment. I don't really have a need for kind of like the larger home security systems that are out there, but I do have a need for home monitoring while I'm away. I've actually been broken into twice in like the past 6 years, and it's just like both times you're just kind of, you always wonder, it's like, why isn't there a solution on the marketplace that's really designed for me? And so my co-founders and I, like, we kind of came together and we thought about it, and it was what we realized was that the technology was there. All of the pieces were there, but what wasn't there was kind of like that easy do-it-yourself, elegant home experience that we're all looking for. So we decided to kind of quickly come up with a prototype to see if it would work, first and foremost. And then secondly, we actually took it to Kickstarter, which is one of the more popular crowdfunding websites out there. Yeah. And the idea there was that we didn't just want to kind of build a product in a vacuum. We wanted to build it with consumers and with our community and also see if there was a product market fit. And we ran a 30-day campaign where we raised nearly $400,000
Wow.
out of a $200,000 goal
Wow.
from almost 1,500 backers globally. And so more than just kind of the funding, what's been kind of probably one of the more rewarding parts of it is seeing kind of how our community engages with us and gives us not only feedback on what we've already done, but challenges us to think about where we can take the product and take the solution to make it easier for everyone to use.
Now there are a lot of home automation systems out there. I mean, no sense in beating around the bush on this. It's the home automations have been around for some time, and a lot of them are taking advantage now of today's technology. So when you saw the landscape of some of the systems that are out there today, you know, some of them offering video and temperature monitoring and all these different things, locking the doors. What was the motivation? What did you say to what did you guys think? Say, well, what can we offer or bring to the table that some of these other systems may not? Now you mentioned cost or something. Is that maybe one factor? But what are some of the things? Why would someone be interested in the Sentri system, which we'll be talking about shortly? But just on an overview, why would somebody be interested in the Sentri system instead of, let's say, some of the other things that are available today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were at the Consumer Electronics Show earlier this year, and I think IoT and home automation monitoring in particular kind of dominated that landscape.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that even then, among kind of the rows and rows of different companies that are out there, what I think that like we kind of always started with and what we still hold true is almost this idea of a product and a solution that could grow with the user. For all the talk that's out there about home automation today, the truth of the matter is the majority of consumers still don't own a connected device. And in part, that's just because we don't really know like what exactly we would do with it. And so for us, we wanted to create a solution that was like perfect for somebody who was buying a smart device for the very first time,
Mm-hmm.
or if they already own several devices. So like, for example, like for me, Sentri is one of my first smart devices I would own. But simply by having it, I have kind of like that peace of mind that comes with having a monitoring solution in my home, but then knowing that like later on down the road, if I wanted to add a Nest to it or a smart lock, those pieces would be able to connect to my Sentri and give me one single application to control everything from instead of having 4 or 5 different applications around the house. And so that's one key factor in terms of kind of like being able to adapt to any consumer. And then the other part of it is just really a personalized experience too.
Well, are you saying, for example, that Sentri works with existing technology? I know the things like Z-Wave. There are a number of them out there. These home automation protocols that have become standardized. Is Sentri designed to work with some of these existing systems? That I mean, it doesn't all have to have the Sentri label on it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, I think in an ideal world for a consumer, you wouldn't have to worry if it was on Z-Wave or Zigbee or Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. Our first generation actually works with Wi-Fi, which covers a good amount of kind of like the more popular products that are out there on the market today. So, like for example, the Nest thermostat, Philips Hue Smart Light, Belkin Wemo Smart Switch. And the idea and really kind of what's really exciting about this industry at this time is that everyone is incredibly open, and interoperability is kind of the theme of the industry as well. And so it's something that like we strongly believe in as well. And so one of the things that we'll be shipping along with kind of our first units is to open up an SDK for developers to actually develop and connect other devices to Sentri, so it becomes one connected system instead of siloed products.
Okay, all right. Well, it's certainly sounds easy and friendly. Now, we talk about smart homes today. We keep hearing about it everywhere. But in your mind, what do you think they actually mean when they say a smart home?
That's a really great question. I mean, I think that right now when people think about smart home, it's about connectivity and being able to turn on your lights from your phone when you're away from home, which is pretty cool. or being able to change the color of your lights, or not having to get up out of bed in order to turn off the thermostat or to make sure all your doors are locked. Mm-hmm. But I think that really for a smart home of the future, it goes beyond a little bit of this like connected piece, which is really about laying the infrastructure, to being something that's a lot more responsive. So where your home almost becomes like an extension of yourself, and it's able to anticipate needs that you may not necessarily have articulated just based on kind of like your habits. And we see, like for example, like use cases where we see immediate benefit from this is with industries and sectors like aging in place, where today, for example, like for like my grandparents at home, they would have a panic button that they would wear. But if, for example, like a solution like Sentri, where it would be able to kind of detect where you are in your home and be able to know your patterns, and if something seems amiss, send a call or send a text directly to me, then I would be able to respond appropriately. And so it doesn't just become something that's connected, but something that's actually responsive and proactive.
Okay. So if you had to just quickly summarize, how Sentri, because Sentri is not really available yet, correct? It's in the you finished the Kickstarter phase. You raised enough money, if you had to pick something that makes your product different from all the other products on the market, because you mentioned it works with Wi-Fi and what have you, what would you say that makes it different, and how should anyone even think about making a decision about what to buy when it comes to home automation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, like our Sentri is different in a sense that like it's useful for somebody who's never owned a smart home product, or if you already own several and want to kind of connect the different pieces together. And really, like for us, it's really been about design and the user experience from day one. And so what we see is there's a lot of cool technology out there, but quite frankly, we think that like technology is only as useful as how often somebody uses it. Mm-hmm. And so from kind of like our user experience and our design, like it's really meant to inspire people to use and to connect more with their homes. And so I think it would be more for if someone was looking for like a solution that worked versus kind of having the latest technology, that would be like a key differentiator, as well as having kind of like that personalization aspect of it. The first thing that people say when they first see the project is just like, wow, it's so beautiful, and I like don't expect to have like a camera like in there. And that's something we see a lot of our customers having that have like kind of security cameras, quite frankly. They're like, well, yeah, we have a security camera, we have a nanny cam, but it looks a little bit obtrusive. It's not really kind of warm and like part of my home in the same way that we've designed Sentri to be.
How open is Sentri to developers and people who like to tinker? Because home security is people's homes, and sometimes they like to do DIY projects, and sometimes you kind of need to go deeper than just what's available in the settings in general. Do you have some kind of open source code, or is it you provide developer kits? Like, how do you handle people who want to get a little bit nerdier?
That's a great question. So that's kind of on two fronts. One is kind of through like our Open SDK, it would allow you to actually develop on top of the Sentri screen. We're really different from other products on the market that we actually have a screen, and actually in large part because of our backers, we've added a touch screen on top of that as well. So it gives you that added layer of interaction in the home. So for the software developers out there and for the app developers, you can actually develop apps for the home. And beyond that, in terms of connecting with other products, our SDK will allow you to kind of plug into Sentri. So say like if you had a new smart light bulb that was coming on the market, like you could tap directly into your SDK so that like Sentri could control that light bulb.
Now, is that something that the average consumer could do, or is this something that developers are going to be able to do? I mean, when something new comes on the market, or a new kind of light bulb, and will my Sentri be able to work with it, or do I have to wait until you push out some sort of update? I mean, how's that going to work?
That would be something for the developers of kind of like, for example, the new light bulb to do. But where the consumer really comes in is being able to kind of like voice and say like, hey, I would like this to work with my Sentry. And we've already seen this actually with numerous projects that have also come up on Kickstarter where the Kickstarter community has really come behind and said like, hey, I would like it to work with this product, and vice versa. The same has held true for us as well. As we think about our product roadmap, our Kickstarter backers are probably some of the most vocal in terms of the type of products that they want to see for further integration with.
Now, when a developer uses your SDK and gets it to work with the Sentry, and I'm just a consumer who happens to have a Sentry, will my Sentry, after that's done and it's working, will my Sentry now work with whatever that developer set up, or will I be notified saying, hey, Sentry will now work with this new product, or do I have to go out and buy a new Sentry?
Yep, so that's actually, I think, the beauty of hardware today is that you'll be notified because that layer of it happens on the software end, so it doesn't really make your hardware obsolete in that sense, and you would be able to update kind of like benefit from the network effect of having more devices on the Sentry platform. So it doesn't mean that you have to go out and buy a new device altogether. It's just more a matter of kind of a software update in the same way that like your app updates on your phone, your apps update on your phone today.
Well, when I go, let's say I go into the Home Depot and I buy one of these, because these stores that have all these home automations, we're seeing it appearing in Lowe's and Home Depots, those type of places. If I buy one of these things, is it going to say on the box now works with Sentry, or is that putting the cart before the horse? I go to Sentry and say, hey, will you work with this product? I mean, how do I find out what works with how will I find out what works and what doesn't work with my Sentry?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the challenge you see with a lot of with all devices today, and so that's why there is this strong push for interoperability, and so we're slowly moving towards that. But I mean, I think again, I think it's incredibly exciting for our consumer today because you have the power to go and say to not just Sentry, but to kind of like say, for example, if it was like a Lowe's like Iris smart home system, for example, and being able to say like, hey, I would like my Lowe's Iris system to work with my Sentry. I think it's much more of a two-way type of street, and from our end, we'll always keep our users updated in terms of like new products that will work with Sentry.
Sure. No. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the features of what Sentry is, what you plan to have come with Sentry, and let's talk about the hardware, and let's talk about the software, and get into the actual product itself. So let's start with the hardware, I guess. When I get Sentry, what comes with it?
Yeah, so when you get Sentry, you get basically a 10 by 10 display, and it has a widescreen display that shows you, we have a number of different themes, but the basics are just basically time, temperature, weather, humidity, and air quality, and those are all sensors that are part of the unit itself. And it also has a preloaded camera as well as motion detector on there as well. So in one device, you have both the ability to monitor not just physical security, but environmental well-being of your home as well. It comes with the AC adapter, so it plugs straight into the wall.
So you're saying in the Sentry itself, this is the master control panel. There's a high-definition camera in the Sentry itself?
Yep.
All right, so why do I want a camera in the Sentry itself and not remotely off someplace else? Why do you put a camera in the Sentry?
So it's really meant, again, like for that whole portability and simplicity aspect of it. So it's really a plug-and-play type of solution. And the camera is also not meant to be kind of highly visible. So if you were to walk into like my home, you wouldn't know that like I had like a security camera, for example.
Got it.
So, and it's really, again, like about having that ease of use at the end of the day.
All right. So it's got a high-definition camera built into it. I see it also has night vision, too?
Yeah, so that's, again, for the security aspect.
Right. You have a microphone built into it, speaker. I'm looking the motion detector, These are all different things that are built into the Sentry itself?
Yeah, so the device itself is self-containing, and all of these are features that are part of it.
Okay, so you have the motion detector, you have temperature, you have air quality, you have a light sensor built into this too, humidity, and an accelerometer. And an accelerometer. Now, why would you? What is the function of the accelerometer in the Sentry?
Yeah, that's a great question, one we get all the time, and I think it's also by virtue of kind of living in California and San Francisco. It's just in case one, there's an earthquake, and secondly, and I think it's also if somebody were to take your Sentry, you would be able to, or move it, you would have that notification directly on your phone.
Okay. Well, wouldn't the motion detector pick that up long before he or she moved the device? I mean, the motion detector would certainly detect them walking toward the device, to the Sentry.
Yeah, so it's an added layer of security on top of that.
Got it. Okay. More than one thing. And again, the Sentry is rather small here. I'm looking at a picture. It looks like it's about 9.5 inches by 9.5 inches square, and looks like about 1.5 inches thick. That's it. And,
yeah.
Okay. And then there's a little kickstand that pops out, so it can kind of lean back, and it's sort of like I guess your master control center for your home. Is that what you're going for here?
Yeah. So we characterize it as really a dashboard for your home, and so it allows you to kind of see what's happening in your home as well as connect it to other devices that you may own.
Now the initial display, it looks like it's in 4 quarters, like 4 little circles, and when you see the temperature like 65 degrees, and the one to the right has a little rain cloud, another one is humidity. I mean, now does that display always stay on, or that's often it comes on when you touch it, or can you have it always stay on? I mean, how is it set up?
So that's an always-on display, and the display is actually changeable, and that's part of the personalization aspect of it, where you can change the background of it to either be one of our customized themes or to actually put in your own pictures as well.
Yeah, I was basically that was my next question. So you can customize it to display whatever you want. I think obviously the things that are most important to you, you can have that showing that point at that point. All right, so
exactly.
Okay, so that's the basic hardware that is in the that comes with the initial version of Sentry. Now let's talk about the software. What Sentry comes with as far as software? Why don't you start up? Tell us some of the things it comes with.
Sure. So on the software end of it, I think for consumers, the one piece that you'll interact with the most is actually the mobile app. And so that basically is an app that gives you the ability to see what's happening in your home, no matter where you are, or even if you're at home and you're sitting upstairs and you want to see what's happening downstairs, you can do that without getting up as well. And so with the mobile app, you'll be able to receive real-time alerts in case there's any unexpected motion or there's a sudden spike, for example, in temperature in the home. As well as with having live video monitoring, so you can tap in and see what's happening at any time. When a motion is triggered, you'll get a snapshot of like what happened at that exact moment, and then you can determine if you want to like tap in and see what's happening or ignore it.
Now, when you say tap in, when you say tap in, do I see a picture or do I see actual video? What am I seeing through the Sentry?
So for the motion detector, you would see an actual picture. It would be a snapshot of kind of that moment when the motion detector was triggered.
Right.
And you would be able to kind of click through and see a live video feed from there.
Okay. And the live video, is that the black and white or color? I mean, what are we looking at here?
It's a color video feed.
Color video feed. And when it goes to night, then it changes it with like a green or black and white for night video.
Yeah, exactly. So for night, it would just change to the night vision.
Sure, exactly. Now you offer a number of software features. One of them that I find intriguing that you have listed here that the Sentry comes with is something called geofencing. What is that, and why is it important on the Sentry?
Yeah, so geofencing, it's really kind of the idea that like when it gets triggered when you're nearing areas. So for example, like when it senses that like your phone is like within your Wi-Fi network, like say if you get to the garage, then it can automatically kind of like turn off kind of the away mode or the monitoring mode. So because I mean, most of the time, like what we've seen from consumers is that you don't always want to have an always on camera. And so when you're home, like you don't necessarily want to have a security camera on all the time.
Ah, yes, that is true. You do want some privacy. Although the way it's designed, supposedly nobody, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit later, is some of the security and how safe this is from other people kind of tapping into it, you know. But right now, so geofencing basically allows you to, so when you go out, when you're in the home or something, then the security camera will turn off until you go upstairs, or you can set it up to be that way.
Yeah, so basically know when you're within the vicinity.
Right, exactly. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
No, that's pretty unique. It's how effective is that really though? Because we have all these webcams and things like that, and you know, we always tell people that even though the light's not on and that kind of thing, if you really want to be safe, put a sticky note over it, put that kind of thing. How close an environment is this?
And I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll answer that question when we come back, Wendy. But we're at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to take a little break, and then we'll continue on, and you can answer Ben's question, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, this is the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network, the Boost Radio Network. Ben and I are talking to Wendy Chi. She is the co-founder and CMO of Sentri Home Automation System. We got a news tips bulletin review from Marty Woodson coming up. Stay with us.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the no hair removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for no hair removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my no. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented Thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the no, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible no hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Hey, has anybody told you that you're beautiful? Oh, it's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the first alert, Bark Genie. If you have a dog in your workspace and uncontrolled barking is a repeated distraction, you understand why we got this in for review. The Bark Genie from First Alert is a mini Pavlov box that listens for barks and emits an ultrasonic beep when it hears one. With a 9-volt square battery for power, there's no outlet tether, and it's lightweight. It means it can go on a tabletop, a shelf, hang from a doorknob, or be wherever the barking tends to happen. A test mode responds with an audible beep. In its 3 operating modes, short, medium, and long range, the ultrasonic beep is something dogs can hear, but not you or me. Our test subject was a megalomaniacal male Jack Russell named Buddy, whose barking almost immediately calmed down, but was not deterred when responding to bark-appropriate stimuli like people at the door. Bottom line, the first alert Bark Genie could be worth a try if excess barking has been dogging your days.
Yeah.
This is Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
I think Marty Winston just wooed me. That was crazy. Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It's 13 minutes past the hour. We are talking to Sentri right now, and more specifically Wendy, who is the co-founder and CMO. And we were just about to get into the topic of sometimes when technology is made more compatible, easier to set up, that kind of thing, even more accessible, sometimes that leaves gaping holes in security. And when you're dealing with something like home security, that's really the last thing you want to do is let everyone within Wi-Fi signal have access to cameras all over your house.
Or your front door. Or your front door.
Or your front door, or your stove. Things like that. They're very sensitive, and you don't want anyone touching them. What kind of security have you put in, or how hard is it in general to, I don't know if you specifically test for penetration, but how hard is it for people to get their hands on this?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think security is one of the big challenges that home automation and kind of like all home monitoring type of companies really have to take into account. And so in addition to kind of like software security, such as like symmetric key encryption that like is pretty typical in the industry as well, it's really about like, so one of the things that we did was we've been working, so we were part of Microsoft Ventures Accelerator class, and as part of that, we were actually able to work really closely with Microsoft in understanding how they go about encrypting their data and encrypting their hardware. And so, for example, by taking measures to put like TPM chips directly into the hardware itself, it makes it a lot harder to compromise, because one of the things that's like really, I think that that scares people a lot about kind of like these type of devices is that they're all accessible just directly like through networks, and you don't actually even have to physically be there to compromise the device. But by adding kind of like these small measures like a hardware security chip, you make it such that like it becomes a lot harder to do so, because you'd actually have to get your hands on the physical device itself. And so I think by taking kind of those type of security measures and really working together between different partners is something that like this is something that we as an industry really need to focus on going forward.
Yeah, obviously it is a concern, and especially if it's going to be locking and unlocking my front door. You know, you certainly don't want people having access to your home. And
well, that's just like something we've noticed lately with the Internet of Things coming about and everything being connected to the Internet. Everyone's so excited to be able to control your refrigerator from Texas, but at the end of the day, security seemed to kind of play second fiddle to the fact that, hey, if you have access to this, you now are giving anyone who has you're giving everyone access to it to a certain extent. So it's good to hear that you guys at Sentri have thought so much about security, because we find so many products out there in this day and age really don't. They just kind of say, hey, you can connect to this, look how easy it is, just find the IP address and you're off and going. And they really don't say, oh, well, a lot of people can do the same thing you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and I mean, I think that you also see this kind of from a communication protocol type of view too, where in addition to kind of like the Zigbee and the Z-Waves of the world, you see kind of like Qualcomm coming out with like their all-join, all-sing alliance, which has kind of like a lot of these security protocols built into it as well. And so it's not just kind of one product or one brand kind of standing out and saying this is what we're doing, but it's almost an entire alliance. And I think that that's something that we're going to see a lot more from, because it's also around standardization as well, where security is going to be kind of standardized to some degree too.
Yeah. No, I would think so. Um, Let me ask you this: um, how can someone connect to Sentry? Let's say if they don't have wireless in their house, or if their internet goes down. Have you even considered something like that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And so right now, Sentry, it has to work if you have, like, basically you have to have a running internet connection.
Mm-hmm.
The way that kind of other systems have gone around that is by adding a 3G chipping to it. And so that's actually where, like, for a lot of kind of like traditional security companies, that's where a lot of the cost comes from too, though, because you're, in addition to kind of paying for like a monthly monitoring service, you're also paying for kind of like that 3G connectivity. And so it's not something that we have right now in kind of like our first generation of products, but something we'll consider going forward.
Okay. But the Sentry...
Would it work, and I'm just spitballing here, would it work with tethering? Because you can make hotspots with your cell phone. It would work, I guess, with an internet connection. Like, would that work?
You could technically, because in that case it would technically become like another Wi-Fi like hotspot, but it would, like, you would have to authenticate that through another means. So we wouldn't want you to be able to connect like your device to like anybody's cell phone like that. Again, going back to that question of security. So it depends on how you set it up initially.
Now, but does Sentry come with a does it have like an Ethernet port, that you could do, that you could connect your home network?
Yeah, so it does come with the Ethernet port, so you can directly connect from like a modem directly. There's have that direct line of communication, so it doesn't necessarily have to go through Wi-Fi.
Ah, okay. Now, what about power? Let's say there's a power outage, because we don't have everything plugged into an uninterruptible power supply. Or let's say someone unplugs the Sentry. What happens then?
Yeah, so I think that because it's on Wi-Fi, it's not something that's possible for it to be completely battery powered, especially with the display. But we've tried to address that by building a backup battery into it. So in case the power does go out, you at least will have like a couple hours.
Okay, and so if you have a power outage, it's going to let you know that there's a power outage, something you can, you could possibly deal with. It'll give you enough time. About what? How many? About 4 hours worth of operating time on the battery backup?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep.
And what about internal memory in the Sentry? I mean, you said can you record videos, and if you can, how long can you record those videos for?
So the video that you can record, there's actually, so one of the stretch goals actually from our Kickstarter campaign was to have an SD card slot. And so you would be able to record a video directly onto the SD card slot. And I think the capacity there is 128 gigs.
Okay. So basically, how much video can I record on 128 gigs with Sentry?
I think that like when we've tested it, it's about 13 hours.
Oh, okay. But that's probably more than sufficient time to capture. Okay. Now you mentioned you started on Kickstarter. You raised nearly $400,000 out of a $200,000 goal. So congratulations. I'm just kind of curious. So why did you choose to go that route?
Yeah, I think that in addition to kind of like getting initial orders, which has been kind of fantastic validation, we also really wanted to build a product from the beginning with our consumers and kind of like with our community really, and really this idea of kind of like co-creation. And so that's been really something that like we've tried to. We engage our consumers in the same way almost as if they were like investors in a company, because in some ways they kind of are. And so like, for example, one of the things that like we recently announced was actually having touchscreen on our device. And that was really after a lot of thoughtful conversations with a lot of our backers in terms of why it is they wanted touchscreen, like where they really saw the product going. And a lot of these are people who are really interested in home automation themselves and just kind of like, and have a vision of their own. And so we wanted to be able to have this collective vision, and being able to manifest in a product is something that I think is really interesting, and that we're seeing more and more of, especially from hardware companies.
So this idea of crowdsourcing, I mean, has it affected, or you mentioned a little bit, is it affecting and carrying through to your development process of the Sentry?
It definitely has. And it's so like from just kind of like even having the introduction of like the SD card slot, and being able to maybe like sometimes you have a use case in mind, but you're not really sure if kind of like it's just you or like there's actually a group of customers out there who also think the same. It's really good to kind of get that feedback in real time, and also to have it to be really thoughtful, the feedback as well. And I think our community will also really challenge us to kind of think more beyond what it is that we've already developed. So for example, again with the touchscreen, that was something that like we were a little bit hesitant on, but after just kind of like talking with a lot of our different backers, it became apparent that this was kind of the right way to really control a home to some degree as well, and to being able to have that ability to go up to like your Sentry device and change a background without having to download a phone app. So it's been a really interesting journey.
So where is the product now, the Sentry? I mean, when do you think it'll start shipping? How much more development process do you need with this?
So we're heads down in manufacturing right now. Our team is actually split between San Francisco and Taipei, and the reason why we chose to have like a lot of our engineering manufacturing in Taipei was to be close to the ground, to a lot of the factories there, and we will be shipping starting in June this year.
Oh, okay. So it's literally around the corner, because we're halfway into February at this point, so not that far away.
No, not that far away.
Let's talk a little bit about the Internet of Things. I mean, that's a. Do you I don't know. Do you think that Sentry is going to, I mean, embrace the idea? I would think it is. The Internet of Things. I mean, working with appliances and things that are kind of tied up to the Internet. Do you see Sentry working with the Internet of Things?
I think Sentry is very much in the Internet of Things, and actually, after CES, like one of the things I kind of came away with was that really the Internet of Things is really about kind of like the Internet of me at the end of the day, and it's really about kind of like how all of this is going to make make consumers' lives even more personalized. And so right now we're starting with other hardware devices around the home. So like for example your Nest thermostat, but you could really see it also working with another trend we see a lot these days, which is wearables. Where, for example, if you had a Jawbone or you had a Fitbit that connected with your Sentry, it would be able to sense like as you were waking up and start like your morning routine for you almost in the same way.
So, is this basically what technology means to you? Is it kind of tying in there? What does technology mean to you, Wendy?
I think technology at the end of the day is really as useful as how often people can use it. I mean, I think that when you look at kind of like going back again to mobile, the idea of a smartphone had been around for a really long time, but it wasn't really until the introduction of kind of the iPhone, which wasn't necessarily the most technologically advanced product on the market, but was by far the most usable. And so I think technology at the end of the day is really how useful it is and how it inspires people to people, not just developers, but just really like everyday consumers to rethink the way that their day-to-day life is.
Okay. So people, where can they go to get the Sentry when they're ready for it?
Great question. So you can go to our website, sentry.me, and that's Sentry, SENTRI.me, and you can reserve a unit there, and basically it's a pre-order, but you won't be charged until your unit actually ships.
And how much is Sentry going to cost?
And it's $299.
Okay. And that includes everything you need to get started with this with Sentry. Basically, you have everything in the Sentry itself, and then you can add to it as you begin to expand whatever your needs are, which I think is kind of nice. You have the camera, you have the audio, you have the recording ability, all in the one device. which I think is really slick. I haven't seen anything quite like this before, so it's certainly a unique category. You can start simple, and you have everything at the start, and then you can expand as your needs expand, which is nice. Or not, if they don't, then you have everything you need with the Sentri. Listen, Wendy, I want to thank you for being here with us on the show. Again, you can go to computeramerica.com, click on our show notes page, and you'll see the Sentri, the description today's show for the 17th of February. And you can click on it, and it'll take you to the Sentri website directly. That's right on our show notes page at computeramerica.com. Wendy, thank you so much for being with us here tonight. Very interesting product, and the best of luck to you with it.
Thank you guys so much.
All right. Take care. Good night.
Good night.
Take care. Good night.
Bye-bye. All right. There you go. Again, Sentri. Check it out at computeramerica.com. Just go to our show notes page. You can check it out for yourself.
First time I'd heard of the geofencing feature, which makes complete sense.
Yeah, it is. It's nice, and you can read all about it again at the website at computeramerica.com. All right. Well, I think I guess we have a little time left, so I guess we should probably do some computer and technology news.
Yeah, we can do that.
We do some news stories.
Sure.
All right. Well. All right. Then let's do it. Oh. Wait. What happened? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Craig lost his buttons.
Tonight's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for free. And why don't you start off with the first story? There's actually, let me do this one. How to overclock your graphics card.
No, not that one. That one is too long. We're not going to get to it.
All right. Well,
it's like 2 pages. It's going to be tonight's DIY segment because we're going to outsource it. Max and PC wrote a great article on, as Craig said, how to overclock your graphics card, which is something that I honestly feel like everyone should do, but we're going to cover it a little bit later in a proper DIY segment.
Okay.
And instead, we're just going to do a little bit of news until we get the next hour guest on.
Okay.
So,
how about the Raspberry Pi has sold over 5 million units to date. That's really cool.
Not bad.
Yeah. 5 million. It's hard to believe that the Raspberry Pi has been around for 3 years already. Launched back in 2012, the credit card PC attracted quite a bit of attention due to its $35 price and potential ability to encourage programming with children. This, again, is by Maximum PC by Sean D. Knight. Today, it was revealed that over 5 million units of Raspberry Pi have been sold to date. Just confirmed the big news we've all been waiting for. We've now sold more than 5 million Raspberry Pis, which was from a Twitter account from Raspberry Pi stated. The news was followed by another story that went on to say, we think this means that in just under 3 years we've gone from zero to being the biggest selling UK computer manufacturer ever. Yowza. Okay. Whether that last statement is true or not, it's safe to say that selling over 5 million units is a very impressive feat. And as to how many units for each model was... Whoa, what was that?
Hi, this is...
Okay.
My bad. Sorry.
As to how many units for each model was sold, the Raspberry Pi Foundation, which spoke to The Verge, said that about 3 million units of the original Raspberry Pi named Model B were sold. Meanwhile, the Model B Plus sold around 1.5 million units since its release back in July of 2014, with about 100,000 to 150,000 units sold of the Model A and Model A Plus units. As for the Raspberry Pi 2, which was announced 2 weeks ago, it accounts for 500,000 of the overall sales. The foundation went on to say that it estimates that the units sold are a split between the PCs being purchased for educational, industrial, and hobbyist use. So there you go. Raspberry Pi really taking the cake. here on the show. And while we're at it, uh, this story from Popular Science is that this is kind of cute. Evidently, uh, the Marines are testing an adorable little adorable robot guard, and it's they say the few, the proud, the spherical. I love that little takeoff. From the sea it emerges, a rolling orb-like object, one large black tire body with two side domes peeking out. It's called the Guard Bot.
The Guard Bot.
The Guard Bot, yes. It looks like a two-sided eyeball straight out of an alien invasion movie. And while the Marine Corps tests it as a possible amphibious scout, Guard Bot's original purpose is even more science fictional. It was first designed to go to Mars. Wow. But Mars didn't pan out. So instead, Guardbot is paying tribute to the Roman god of war in a new way because it is amphibious. Okay, it can go almost anywhere the Marines can go, either scouting ahead from rivers or patrolling forward, operating bases in marshy terrain. Guardbot isn't particularly fast. Its speeds of only 6 miles per hour on land and 3 miles per hour in the water. There's a reason it's a guard bot and not a pursuit bot. We leave that for the drones, I would think. It can last up to 8 hours on one battery charge. The clear domes on the side of the guard bot contain cameras, so it can look in completely opposite directions simultaneously, sort of like a chameleon. In addition to capturing videos, it can use laser spectroscopes to detect chemicals used in making explosives from a distance of 2 inches. That's pretty close to the bomb, which makes it a much better job for a robot than a human. Okay, so that's it. They call the guard bot, and the Marines are looking into using it. And it looks a lot like a tire with two clear. It looks like It
looks like an exercise ball with treads on it and 2 gerbil balls on either side. Really, that is the best description I can give it. And of course, the 2 gerbil balls house cameras. So
yeah, exactly. Okay.
It's pretty cute, but you know. Like these are the kind of robots I thought we were going to be seeing. Ones that are not shaped like humans, ones that are not shaped like dogs or anything, ones that are meant to serve a purpose and are designed to do that purpose well. And for one that has to go everywhere and do a Sentri kind of deal, this makes sense.
Okay, well, it looks different.
Yep.
Yeah, and
all right.
Excuse me while I choke here. Okay.
All right, you choke. I will be doing this next story from Engadget. This is here at Computer America. We have a free, a recommended software page. All of it is completely free. Free software is the best software because it's free, and there's a lot of great things that you'll find there. You'll find art. You'll find different things. One of the pieces of free software that we actually recommend everyone have is something called VLC. And VLC lets you play all types of media. If it doesn't play on iTunes or Windows Media Player or whatever, odds are VLC will find a way to make it work. And it turns out VLC just got a little bit better, saying that VLC will soon be supporting Chromecast.
Oh, that's
So the next big release of VLC is Do It All.
Whoops, you went mute.
Oops. Sorry about that. According to the recent changelog, it will soon support Chromecast. The media player is widely used across platforms, and version 3.0 has fans drooling with promised features like improved support for YouTube's next-gen VP9 format. I don't know what that means. The Chromecast angle means users will be able to stream nearly any media type through the tiny dongle from Android. From Android, Mac, Windows 8.1, and Linux devices. Yes, awesome. Because if you ever use Linux, VLC is like the default Linux media player. No. So as for iOS, Maker Videoland mysteriously pulled the app shortly after iOS 8 arrived, but insists it'll be back soon. But yeah, so everything goes to plan, or everything goes according to plan. VLC just got a little bit better with some Chromecast support.
To me, VLC is a wonderful little program because it's sort of like a can opener. I come up with a video that I can't get into, and I try everything to run it, and this won't work, or this one, QuickTime won't work, do that. So then I feel like I go into my toolbox and I pull out VLC. It's like getting a can opener, and that little sucker just pries that video open, and I can play it 99 times out of 100. VLC is going to come through. It's amazing how well it works.
Like, unless you're using Linux, VLC is never anyone's default media player, unless, of course, you change to that. But VLC does so many things and does it well that it's just a great thing to have in case it's some kind of file format you've never seen before. Try VLC. It might be able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we're coming up to the second hour of the show. It's too bad. One of these stories that looked really cool. If you read a motorcycle, they got a motorcycle helmet that's coming out. It looks like the helmet for Master Chief, which looks really neat.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Maybe if it depends. We'll see if we have time to get to those stories. In the meantime, I just want to let you know to head over to computeramerica.com and check out all of our stuff, especially our contests. We have another week before the Logitech contest ends. It'll end Friday, February the 27th. So head over there, click on the contest under the Interact, the Logitech contest, where we're giving away 3 great prizes: the Logitech HD Webcam C310, the Logitech G400S optical gaming mouse, and the Logitech X300 mobile wireless stereo speaker is the grand prize, a $70 value. Get your entry. The entry form is right there on the contest page. No more emails are necessary. Just hit the submit button, and you're in. It's just that simple. So, just enter in all of our contests. You're going to have a lot of fun doing so. And, who knows, you might win something really, really nice. Got some great prizes there on our contest at computeramerica.com. All right, coming up in hour 2, we're going to have Reltio. And we're going to have the CEO and founder of Reltio, Manish Sood, is going to be joining us. You listen to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with Reltio. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at computeramerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello, and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And interesting first hour, talking to Sentri, talking about their product. And again, if you're into home automation, certainly something you might want to check out. Again, the cool thing about it is that, usually with a home automation, you have the cameras, and you have the mics, and you have this, and you have that, and all these different external components. The Sentri, you don't have any of that. It's just the one little panel, and everything is built into it. And I've never seen anything quite like that. The camera's in there, the mics are in there, everything that you need, the software, everything is up and running in this one little device. And it has some geofencing, some really interesting technologies, and it's going to certainly be price affordable. So you might want to check it again. Go to our show notes page at computeramerica.com and check it out for yourself. Again, our phone number to call is 347-884-8881. If you have a comment or question or suggestion to our guests, certainly love to hear from you. And, of course, our chat room at computeramerica.com. It's everything we do here at Computer America is at our website at computeramerica.com. Check it out. Okay, so you ready for our next guest, Ben, or anything else you want to mention?
Yeah, let's jump into it.
All right. Well, as I mentioned, the name of the company is Reltio. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. We'll find out momentarily. It was founded upon the belief that organizations need reliable, relevant access to information at their fingertips. They help companies turn their data into information and knowledge assets in the most efficient way, shattering the traditional notion that IT must combine multiple technologies to manage different types of data, and that business users must purchase standalone tools to do their own analysis. Here with us is Manesh Sood. Manesh is the CEO and founder of Reltio. Manesh, welcome into Computer America. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. Thank you very much, Craig, for having me on the show.
And thank you for being here with us. So, am I pronouncing the company right? Is it Reltio, or how do you pronounce the company?
Reltio.
Reltio. Okay.
Reltio.
Reltio. Okay. Now, you heard my introduction. I don't know if it was accurate. Why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about the company and what it is that you do?
So at Reltio, we are working with large enterprise customers where they have had a traditional problem of having multiple systems where the data is spread across those systems, as well as they're heavily relying on buying data from outside their organization. So for example, you always see companies buying customer lists or various other types of competitive information from outside. And then they have this problem of trying to connect it all together, bring it all together in a usable manner and provide it to their end users in sales, marketing, commercial operations type of business functions. And that's where Reltio fits in, where we make that job easier for them to not only combine all of these different data sets together, but also provide it in a very useful manner as a reliable data foundation built on which we also deliver to them the relevant insights and recommended actions out of that information so that their users can hit the ground running and start working with all of the information and the data silos that they have.
Huh.
Okay.
With big data, it just like it's in the name. You just pull data from everywhere you can, and you get lots of it. And sometimes you pull it from different sources, and it's hard to correlate it, or correlate it all in one place. Is your system fully automated, or do you have some kind of giant complex full of people who are just like putting data into PowerPoint presentations? Like, how do you actually get the data all into one place that someone else couldn't do easily?
So there are definitely no gremlins in the background. What we do is we provide a system. It's a software as a service. Think of it as a common example you might see. If you go to LinkedIn, there is a lot of information that has been provided by different users. Some of it is by adding a system where some of the information is being contributed by your company's users. Some of the information is being pulled in automatically from the enterprise systems. And the third part of this equation is data that comes from outside the enterprise, where Reltio goes out, establishes either partnerships with third-party data vendors so that that data can be easily onboarded as and when the customers choose to. Or we also do the work behind the scenes of going out and tying into various other open data sets that might be available from, let's say, if you're working in life sciences, there's a lot of information published by FDA or by CMs, and we pull those data sets in an automated manner.
Okay. All right. So I get, is big data still relevant? I mean, is it still and if so, why or why not?
Big data is a relevant term, but the focus with big data is shifting just from talking about big data to how to make that information relevant, usable, available, and accessible for end users. And that's where this concept of data-driven applications fits in, where information has to be converted, or data has to be converted into information and be made available to end users
Transitioning from
so that they can
Earth
start
life
working
to
with it.
Mars life.
Sorry, real quick. There's
Audio.
some extra audio.
Yeah, we got that. Okay, we took care of it. Okay.
Perfect.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I was saying that the focus has shifted from just talking about big data over to how to convert that data into useful applications, what we call data-driven applications, so that data can be delivered or converted into information and be delivered in a much more enriched, synthesized manner over to the end users who can make use of that information.
So, but basically, again, everything you're doing here is primarily used by enterprise companies to provide better service to their customers or clients. I mean, how would they use what it is that you do, and how does that affect consumers in general?
The end users of our applications are business users in sales, marketing, compliance, or commercial organization type of functions, where they are looking at the information that is being provided by Reltio to be better at what they do in their job. Okay. So, for example, today they have to go out and gather a lot of information before they engage with their customers or with their specific target audience that they're trying to sell their products to or market their products to. And we are making it easier for them to have all of the information available so that when it is time for the engagement, they have all the relevant insights and details available for them to be able to engage in a better, more productive manner with these audiences.
Okay, and I understand that, but how can you make sure that the data you're working with is good?
Reliable data is a key foundation to any of these scenarios, and what we do at Reltio in order to make sure that the data is reliable is run a constant process in the background that is measuring the quality, consistency, and the recency of the information, where we are making sure that this information is up to that mark of quality that the users can easily rely on it and work with this information as they move forward. And it's a process that's built into the application that we provide to our customers.
Where does your data come from then?
The data can come from applications that customers have in their enterprise. So it comes from CRM systems, it comes from ERP systems, it comes from vendor management fulfillment type of systems, as well as majority of the enterprises today are buying data from outside. In fact, for any business organization, about 70% of the data that they use today is data that they buy from third-party premium data vendors or from open data sets that they procure from outside the organization. And these are all sources that we rely on as a starting point and then make it available to the end users who can also add more information to it. So there is a constant curation aspect of the information. As a salesperson, as you're going out and interacting with your customers, as a marketing person, as you're sending out campaigns, there is constant enrichment of the information that is being added to the data sets that we manage.
So it sounds like you're getting a lot of data and you're finding a pretty good way to present it to people where you can actually start seeing trends and things like that, places that they need to work on. But if it's just raw data and you're just analyzing raw data, what needs to change then in your line of work? If you're just getting a whole bunch of data and the data is good data, what can really change and what needs to change?
So data is a raw material. It's a natural resource. And before it can be consumed, data has to be refined. It has to be synthesized into a consumable commodity. And in order to do that, we are converting that into information. We are converting that into relevant insights or recommended actions out of it, so that those actions can be delivered to the end users who can easily work with that information. And that is where a lot of the work is going in terms of how to make that process simple, easier, faster, and cheaper without throwing armies of people at it.
What kind of companies are using your services? I mean, you mentioned that, are these banks? Are these retail, large retail organizations? I mean, who's using Reltio?
Companies of different sizes. So, for example, we do a lot of work with life sciences and healthcare organizations, where for them there are different scenarios, but one of the example scenarios is the whole healthcare landscape is changing because of the Accountable Care Act.
Sure.
And that is driving changes in terms of how pharmaceutical companies go and sell their products. The previous model was that they would go send out armies of sales reps who would engage with the different doctors and try to influence the sales of their products. But because of the Accountable Healthcare Act, that whole model is changing, where now the pharma products have to be on a list of formularies. They have to be pre-approved. They have to be on the various payer plans before a prescriber can or a doctor can prescribe those medications.
Yeah, I think.
And in order for this to happen, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're talking about, they would call detailed man, or they would go out to the different medical doctors to try to promote their particular the medications. The drug companies would hire them to go out, and you're saying that's changing a lot now.
That model is completely changing, where it is becoming a sales cycle that, instead of influencing the prescribers, has to now go and sell into complex accounts or large accounts like the independent delivery networks such as Kaiser's or Sutter's of the world, as well as go negotiate the deals with certain pharmacies or pharmacy chains, or with the payers such as Blue Cross, because unless a large pharmaceutical or a small pharmaceutical company has their drug on the approved list for these different plans, the chances of that drug being used as the recommended drug by a physician are very low. So that's why it's becoming a more complex sales cycle, where these companies and the sales teams have to understand the complete depth and breadth of a healthcare organization, which facilities, which clinics, who are the doctors who are working at these clinics. Why should our sales team spend a certain amount of time with certain key influencers in those accounts versus going and talking to the contract organization of the large independent delivery networks, so that we can have a path to success where our drug can be on the recommended list of drugs for those institutions.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, obviously, you say that the face of the big data is changing, and where do you think it's headed for the future? What direction is it going to take?
Data, as I mentioned, is a natural resource, but the key is in how easily, how quickly we can synthesize it into information and make it available to the direct beneficiaries, who are the end users, people such as you and me, who are trying to make sense of it and use it for certain actions that we want to take. And that's really the direction where that entire process, that entire chain of steps that takes place today over months and years, has to be condensed down into a very small time frame. And all of this information has to be boiled down to specific set of recommendations and actions that can be delivered to the end user, so that they know what is the next step or the next action that they should be taking. Companies like Amazon, Google, LinkedIn, they've all been doing it in the context of the applications that they provide. And they have had large technology investments in those areas. But for everyday use, for business organizations that cannot afford or have large-scale IT infrastructure deployments similar to Amazon and Google, the opportunity is to convert the big data technology into these kinds of applications and deliver it for mass scale and consumption to almost every organization that is out there trying to do business.
Well, Manish, again, it's really interesting stuff. Obviously, it's very technical, but if people want more information, they can go to your website, www.reltio.com, or they can go to our website at computeramerica.com, today's show notes, and we have a link to your website where they can find out more information about what it is that you do. Manish, I want to thank you for being here on the show tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, sir. You take care. Good night. Bye-bye. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. You know, it's
that got, I won't lie, got a little heady.
Yeah.
But, you know, why not? We're technology. Yes, we're focused on consumer electronics and consumer technology. But hey, you know, who's it hurting?
No, I mean, it's nice to talk about, but you know, it gets, as you say, it gets a little heady, and it gets a little, really vertical, but anyway, we brought that to you, and thought you might find that interesting. But Ben and I think, are going to continue to do computer and technology news, all right, and because we have a lot of interesting stories tonight, and one of which was. Well, it's your turn to pick a story, so why don't you do one now?
Sure. How about this one? This is the DIY segment we were kind of saving. 5 minutes was not enough time. 10 minutes, sure enough. Yeah. So this one from Max and PC, Ben Kim actually wrote this one, and it's how to overclock your graphics card. Because I think a lot of people know about overclocking in general, and I think most people are familiar with overclocking your processor. That was originally the primary thing you overclock, but nowadays graphics cards, they come with so much RAM built into them, they come with so much memory and even horsepower built into them, you can overclock them to actually achieve speeds better than what is, because that's what overclocking is. It's providing it more electricity, that kind of thing, pushing it past whatever the recommended settings are by the manufacturer. And yes, you can do it safely, though it may cause more heat, may cause some instability, and it may cause your equipment to actually degrade faster. But at the end of the day, you can do it safely, and you get more resources out of whatever hardware you're using.
Well, it's changed from the olden days because, you know, again, when you overclocked, you really took a risk of burning your system out. And although now, I think, as you mentioned, there are some certain guidelines you can follow, and you can do that. And by the way, the computer and technology news we're doing in this hour as well is brought to you by Somewhere Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. We continue on. And right now we're doing this DIY about how to overclock your graphics card. And I know this is dear and to Ben because he's our gamer. But this article is from Maximum PC, and Ben Kim actually goes through some steps that you can go through on overclocking. And the first one he says is, you know, our favorite overclocking software is MSI Afterburner. He says your other options include EVGA Precision X for NVIDIA cards, and for AMD cards, AMD Overdrive. But to keep things simple, in this example, he'll be working solely with MSI Afterburner. He says you'll also need a benchmark like 3D Mark. You can download the demo. Or Urge Gains a Heaven benchmark just to make sure that your overclocks are stable enough for daily use. That's right. I mean, because that can be a huge factor. They're also useful for quantifying just how much more performance you're going to get out of your hardware. Because let's face it, I mean, if you do all this stuff and you're not getting much of a benefit, you want to get you want to see something that's going to make you stand up and take notice. Otherwise, why bother? You also see GPU-Z is also the final piece of the puzzle, and although you don't technically need it, it's super helpful for checking your GPU and memory clock speeds. Okay. Then number 2 is getting in the know. He says before you even start overclocking, it helps to know what sort of overclocks you can expect from your hardware. He says, and the HWBot is the easiest way to look up what overclocks other users are achieving. He says his test bench included GTX 650 Ti and the 7850, which have average overclocks listed on the site. It also helps to know how much real-world performance you'll be getting out of your overclocks. Although you probably don't need to run through an entire suite of benchmarks, having a baseline to refer to is useful. Yeah, I would think so, because how else are you going to know how much faster you're going to be? He says run through 3D Mark or Heaven Benchmark once to get your base scores. And then the third step is core speed overclocks. He says once you've got some averages in hand for the 650 Ti 1179 megahertz GPU, he says you're ready to start overclocking. Start by maxing out the power line slider. This isn't the same as overvolting. The power limit is simply how much power your card can draw, right? Ben?
Yeah.
Just then grab the core clock slider and move it toward the forward at 20 megahertz increments, and after applying your changes, basically you grab the core, crank it up, and give it a shot and see how fast it's going to go. You can run it through at least once by pressing the F9 or clicking the benchmark button. Just keep an eye out for weird graphical artifacts, visual glitches that range from colorful lines or of light to random off-color pixels across the screen, and of course for crashes. If the benchmark crashes to the desktop, seems to slow down dramatically, or gives you a lower frame rate or score upon completion, drop the clock speed by 10 megahertz until you can run through the benchmark without any problems. This stuff gets really dicey.
I've actually done it before, and like I said, I've only done this with my processor. I've never done it with a graphics card yet, though I intend to try it. Really, this is one of the geekier things you can do, because it's really trial and error. You have to know what the goal is, what you're trying to do, and at the end of the day, what exactly it is you're doing. And when you increase the voltage, when you increase the electricity going to it, you're causing it to work faster, to do this, to do that, just to pretty much be a better graphics card, but at what cost? And the cost could be overheating. And when temperatures get too high, I actually had to leave for a second to talk to a caller, and the caller, he was trying to overclock his processor, and his processor was getting too hot. And most motherboards out there, they'll be reading all of the temperatures inside your computer, outside your computer, the temperature of your motherboard, the temperature of your processor, all that kind of thing. It reads it automatically, and let's say if you get above 130 or 140 degrees Celsius, think about that has to be closer to 200 or so, 260 or something like that. Once you get up there in Fahrenheit, it'll just assume, okay, something's not working right, and it'll actually shut the whole computer down. You have to wait until your computer cools down before you can even get started back up again and revert the settings.
This is going to be really dangerous. I mean, you can cause some bad damage to your system, and the more and more I hear about this, They've put in certain safety features, like the one you just mentioned. If it's overheating, it's going to shut it down. The reason they have these things set to where they are is for an additional measure of safety. And when you start clocking your card like that, basically you're eating into that measure of safety.
You are voiding the warranty.
Oh yeah.
you should know that right away. So if you say, "Oh, my graphics card burned out," it's like, "Well, did you try overclocking?" It's like, "Oh yeah, I jacked it up like another 4 or 5 volts, and it just zapped." And I'm like, "Well, that's not really our problem." Some computer boutiques think Origin PC is my personal favorite, Digital Storm, Alienware, what have you. They'll actually overclock for you for an additional fee. Although honestly, it's a free program here and there, and if you feel like doing it yourself, it's very, very there's a lot of information out there to do it. But if you have, say, Origin PC do it for you, they'll actually warranty the parts for you for like an additional year. So even though the warranty on the part may be voided, the warranty from the boutique, because they trust that what you're doing is safe. Because yes, you're cranking up the heat and you're doing, and you could cause damage. The settings that come off the factory line, they're not exactly pushing the limits. They're trying to put it to a setting that is, okay, this will let it go for 3, 4, 5 years at this setting, and it will have absolutely no adverse effect on the hardware.
Which is what most manufacturers want to do. They don't.
Yeah, they don't want it breaking because they set a setting to wrong. But if you get some advanced cooling hardware in there, let's say you get liquid cooling or you get a better airflow through your case, you can actually compensate for the higher temperatures, which at the end of the day is what you're really going for. You don't. Maybe you don't want to mess up the resolution settings and things like that, but as long as the heat is in check, your computer is safe. Heat is going to be the primary killer of your computer if you try to overclock.
Let me ask you something. Overclocking, or just the money that you're going to spend on all the cooling system, just buy a more advanced graphics card?
Let's say you could get a graphics card for $400, but you can get it to act like an $800 graphics card. That is completely possible.
Yeah, but you have to spend more money to cooling systems, and things.
Maybe $100 here or there, but as long as you know what you're doing, it's not about getting a cheaper deal. It's about getting the most out of your hardware that you own.
All right. We're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to continue talking about this, and we're doing computer and technology news. Brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Got a news test polls review from Marty Winston. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Computer America Show. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Cherry DW3000 wireless desktop. Cherry is a generations-old high-quality brand for switches and micro switches, and from time to time, like now, for end-user PC keyboards. Their new DW3000 wireless desktop set has a stubby USB dongle as its wireless link, a very nimble 3-button laser mouse, and a full-size keyboard with so sensuous a feel that your fingertips may feel betrayed if you ever leave it. Alkaline cells in the keyboard and the mouse provide power. The mouse has an on-off switch to husband runtime. The keyboard has no such switch, which leads our inner engineer to believe that beneath the keycaps, discrete actual switches demand power from a spec underneath, we assume 3 milliamps, only as they're struck rather than constantly scanning as in many other wireless keyboards. This is a luxury keyboard, both in terms of pricing and in terms of performance and ride. Bottom line, the Cherry DW3000 wireless desktop keyboard, switch, and dongle combo will make your fingers strut. This is Marty Winston with a news review for Computer America.
I like my fingers to strut.
Yeah, no, putting on the struts. So, welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour, we are doing computer and technology news as well as a short DIY segment, all brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And we're talking about how to overclock your GPU. Most people know about overclocking your CPU. Your graphics card though has the ability. It has the will. It has the drive. Get it? Hard drive, whatever. And you can do it. There's software out there. One of the best things about overclocking, though, is that there's such a community around doing it because people love to tinker with this stuff. You don't have to break new ground here. It may be new for you, but it's not new for everyone. So there's plenty of resources you can go out and find. There's entire websites dedicated to overclocking different hardware. And if you have very general hardware, let's say something from NVIDIA or AMD, you'll find probably entire forums dedicated to overclocking your specific graphics card.
Now, do they have a section like, what to do when smoke starts coming out of your computer?
Yeah, pour water on it to cool it down, and you're good to go. But that's what they call it, liquid cooling. No, and Craig kind of raised the point. It's like, well, why would you spend all this time overclocking and risking damaging your hardware and buying new cooling systems if you could just go out and buy a new piece of hardware? The graphics cards that Maxim PC is using in this article, they were able to get a 20% increase in performance from their GPU.
Is that 20% though? Is it worth it to get 20%? I mean, is it that critical? I mean,
20% at a stable overclock. There's stable overclock and there's unstable. Unstable is when you start seeing smoke, when it crashes every 2 seconds, when it acts all wonky and funky, gets really hot, that kind of thing. That is an unstable overclock. Stable is when it stays at when it stays below 70 degrees Celsius, and it may draw more power, but hey, if you have a proper power supply unit, you don't have to worry about that. It draws more power. It's just a 20% increase in hardware you already have.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally worth it. Like, just because you're overclocking does not blanket statement mean you're shortening the life of your hardware. If you do it properly, you're just getting 20% more out of it for no extra money.
Well, that's the key, doing it properly. You have
doing it properly. So we thought we'd bring it to your attention that there's things you can do with your processor, because your processor really is more vital to your computer in general. Your graphics card is just your graphics card. It's doing more and more these days, and it's which is the reason why people are starting to overclock them. But when you try to overclock your processor, that's really like the brain of your computer. So careful with those graphics cards. You get a little bit more leeway, but my recommendation, definitely, if you have the power supply unit for it first. Obviously, if you're trying to increase the performance, you're going to need more power, and if you're just running the bare minimum power, you're going to get all kinds of side effects. Don't bother with it. Make sure you have the extra headroom in your power specs. make sure your cooling system is in place. You don't want just that little fan with a gerbil in there trying to cool everything off. You want something that's going to handle the extra heat. And then make sure that you have that's it, actually. I was trying to think of one more. But that's it. Just, get the software, keep an eye on everything. Do it incrementally. Don't just say, you know what, I think if I provide my graphics card with 30% more power, I'll get 30% more output. No, you're going to fry your stuff. Don't be a trailblazer. Look it up and give it a try. It's Craig, you mentioned there that you're like, why not just buy something better? What do you think people do who do this, on a regular basis? When they do buy a better piece of hardware, they don't just say, oh, well, this is, way better than my old one. No, they go in and they overclock their new one as well. I'm kind of with them. Every piece of hardware that you have can and should be overclocked safely.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
give it a try.
Give it a try. Just be careful. All right.
Do it incrementally, and they have software specifically for this where you can run it and it will push your computer to its absolute limits, max out all the cores, run it for 10 hours, make sure it's not going to maybe one late night of gaming and you're playing it for 8 hours and it's just going to fry itself. Do the proper testing and you'll be safe, I promise, but it's a good way to get some extra power.
Okay. All right.
Who doesn't want a faster computer?
Yeah, well, that's true. It is. All right. Interesting DIY segment, and take it to heart. And of course, if you missed a portion of that, you can listen to it again from our archives page at computeramerica.com. Wired magazine has an interesting headline. It's about the Apple Watch, and it says the Apple Watch doesn't have to do anything special to be huge. Huh. Here, the Wall Street Journal reported today that the soon-to-be-released Apple Watch, Apple's most ambitious new project in years, won't include several hoped-for health tracking tools. Okay. According to the journal, it won't measure blood pressure, heart activity, or stress levels. That left Apple executives struggling to define the purpose of the smartwatch and wrestling with why a consumer would need or want such a device, according to the newspaper. Perhaps. But the journal's reporting notwithstanding, it's hard to imagine an Apple executive struggling at the moment. The company is riding an unprecedented wave of corporate success fueled by not only by obtuse financial antics, but by the sheer popularity of its gadgets. Okay. The Wall Street Journal also reports Apple is producing 5 to 6 million watches for the initial release, a modest number by iPhone standards, but hardly a sign that the world's most valuable company is worried about the success of its new product, and it shouldn't be. The Apple Watch doesn't have to do anything special at all for Apple to sell millions and millions of them. Okay. See, wearables have long suffered as a product category because the companies making them have failed to make clear why you would need their device in addition to your smartphone. But the perks of Apple's success include not having to explain yourself too deeply. Okay, not that Apple has solved the problem that stymied other makers of wearable tech. It's just that Apple's gadgets come with a built-in purpose no other device maker can offer. And you know what that is, Ben?
What's that?
To tie your digital life together through Apple. That's it, basically. Remember the last time Apple made a device that didn't seem to have an obvious reason for existing? It was called the iPad, and it was just a giant iPhone. Similarly, the Apple Watch is just your iPhone on your wrist. But even more so, many of its features work only when connected to your iPhone. But like the iPad, the Apple Watch won't likely need to stand alone and apart to be seen as useful and desirable to those who already have locked themselves into the Apple connected world. Considering Apple sold nearly 75 million iPhones during the last quarter alone, that's a lot of people. Over the past few years, Apple has made plain its intention to knit its devices together as closely as possible to create one integrated experience across Macs, across iPhones, across iPads, and Apple TVs. Each piece of its hardware can stand alone, but they flourish when used together. Or more to the point, they flourish less when used in conjunction with other companies' devices. An Apple Watch is just another portal, a way for the digital platform at the center of Apple's users' lives to seep into one more context, as is the car Apple is reportedly trying to design. Apple isn't creating any of these devices in isolation, and in that sense, Apple needs to do much less work to define what they're all for. Each is a part of an integrated system, and it's in the integration itself, not some specific feature set like measuring stress levels, that they become useful. Okay? None of us want to have different platforms in different parts of our lives. We want one seamless kind of life, according to CEO Apple, Tim Cook, who said that last week at Goldman Sachs Tech Conference. Users aren't going to reject the Apple Watch because it doesn't have a way to check their blood pressure. They're going to reject everyone else's device because it doesn't have Apple. And that's the bottom line.
Are you feeling more or less optimistic about the Apple smartwatch? Because we seem to be going left and right on that thing.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be very cool. I don't know if I'll have one. I might get one. I might not. I don't know. But the bottom line is that it's coming, and I think it will. I think it will be. I think people will have it because people who are heavily vested into the Apple ecosystem are going to really like it. Especially if you need a watch.
Maybe. I don't know. There was a report out like the other day. It was like 0.1% of all Android users are using a smartwatch, and like smartwatches really aren't as popular as everyone is making them out to be, which I agree with. But that doesn't mean just because the technology hasn't caught on yet doesn't mean that the technology isn't useful in some capacity. And if anyone's going to find that, it might as well be Apple. Apple brought us mobile computing really to the forefront. Mm-hmm. Sure, laptops were around, but with iPads, iPhones, iPods, if you remember those things, Apple does mobile really well. So if anyone can do it, why not Apple?
Okay, fair enough.
Yep. So this next one, yes, stop the presses. Wired.com and Rolls-Royce. You know them. They make toothbrushes or something. I don't know. Cars. Yes, cars. Rolls-Royce finally confirms it's making an SUV.
Well, yeah, it was inevitable. I think when Mercedes came out with an SUV, I mean, BMW has an SUV. I guess Rolls-Royce is finally going to have to make an SUV.
Yep. Yeah, for the eccentric who has to tow so much. Rolls-Royce finally confirms making an SUV. It's in an announcement so gloriously overwritten that it includes a Lawrence of Arabia reference. The luxury automaker promises its next new vehicle will be high-bodied and able to cross any terrain while meeting customers' highly mobile, contemporary lifestyle expectations. Sounds to us like another way of saying SUV, even if Rolls isn't insists the vehicle will be effortless everywhere.
They don't have a picture of it either. Nope.
No, because they announced it. They haven't sent any pictures. They just said, "Oh, guess what? We're making a high-bodied and any terrain vehicle."
Okay.
So not that Rolls would ever design to call this vehicle, which is yet unnamed, an SUV. This should come as no surprise when you remember that that term stands for sport utility vehicle, not exactly Rolls-Royce. Nope. So there is nothing at all utilitarian about cars that start at $285,000, and that's Rolls-Royce's, folks. And a consumer good that rivals the size and opulence of Versailles cannot honestly be called a vehicle, even if it is on wheels.
Yep.
So language issues aside, this move isn't surprising. The crossovers and SUVs are hugely popular, and the high end of the market is owned by Land Rover, whose range-topping Range Rover Autobiography Black can be had for less than a trifling $200,000. Really, common change, pocket change. Bentley, yes, Bentley, will introduce its first SUV, the unfortunately named Bentayga, okay, sometime this year. Rolls said many discerning customers have urged it to go the same route. So, that's it.
You know, Bentley and Rolls Royce are the same company. You do know that. So, and it's interesting because Bentley was considered to be the economy version of Rolls Royce, and it turns out many of the Bentleys are actually more valuable than the Rolls Royces are.
I don't know. Living so close to Palm Beach, you really do see more Rolls Royces than you have in, rural South Carolina or somewhere like that. But when you see a Rolls Royce, you say, wow, look at that thing. That is a Rolls Royce. Like, Bentleys have their own curves, but when you see Rolls Royce, like, they design their cars, they look like $300,000.
Yes, they do.
They're crazy.
Hey, let's talk about. We have the time to one more quick story here. Wi-Fi. It's 802.11n, 802.11. All the technical. They're coming out with a new Wi-Fi standard, and this is called 802.11 ba.
No, it's what they should call it.
Yeah. Evidently, they've got a rural broadband experiment that could use sheep as Wi-Fi hotspots. A sheep as a Wi-Fi hotspot. Let me repeat that. A sheep as a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Why not?
Yeah. Evidently, a new research project that may look at ways to turn sheep into wandering, woolly Wi-Fi hotspots. According to Wales Online, okay, researchers at Lancaster University received a grant of about $260,000 to equip sheep with digital smart collars. The primary purpose is to track the herd's location and measure environmental conditions. However, the collars could also turn the herd of sheep into a Wi-Fi hotspot, helping bring better connectivity to rural areas. As the Atlantic notes, a herd of sheep can form a mesh network that transmits connectivity across large distances. Similar tests in northern Scandinavia have already looked at offering Wi-Fi to nomadic people through reindeer. Oh, God. If you're worried about animal safety, the sheep should be fine if the collars don't exceed 2% of their body weight. Okay, now why does this matter? Okay, this is all pretty theoretical for now, as there's no word on when the researchers expect to start testing the supposed sheep network. But if it does turn out to be a practical idea, we have yet another reason to appreciate sheep.
The humble sheep.
I like sheep. They're cute.
Sheep, they're creepy.
Little fluffy white things.
I said it. They're creepy.
They're not creepy. You get creeped out by sheep. Don't you count sheep when you want to go to sleep?
No, I've never done that in my life. Ever. Once. No. Not even.
Not even. What?
No.
Oh.
Why would you?
Well, it's just really. Well, there it is. Sheep. Okay. 802.11 ba. Hey.
Yeah, 802.11 ba.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me do this other story while we're doing that. And this one is there's an app that restaurants will start playing your favorite song whenever you walk in. Okay. The idea here is make everyone succumb to your superior taste in tunes. Finally, you can have your jam play as soon as you walk into an establishment without having to be famous. The Rockbot app's goal is to bring the age of personal playlists to venues like bars, restaurants, and stores. Using the app's new Anthem feature, users can request songs from their phone, provided they're at a business that has a Rockbot Bluetooth beacon. So if you want a loud rock song to play in an Italian restaurant, Rockbot CEO tells TechCrunch it doesn't quite work that way. The app figures out the best way to pair your taste with the place's ambiance. So instead of having to bang your head while chowing down, the app might go for your favorite sappy love song instead. San Francisco is the only city where technology is currently active. Okay, there you go. Go figure.
It's crazy how much technology is going on in San Francisco. If
Yeah.
you haven't noticed, a lot of our companies lately have been from San Francisco
Yeah,
that we've interviewed.
yeah. What's up with that?
Apparently, San Francisco is just a booming tech place right now. Really, anywhere in Southern California, I'd say, but San Francisco in particular.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, let's continue on. It's your turn to pick a story. Let's do it. You go ahead and do it.
Well, this one will probably take us through. No, let's do this one. I wanted to do the one about Mars One. Yes, you may remember. They're the ones who want to send a crew of like 16 to 24 people to the Red Planet to live there indefinitely. And we've had many a discussion about how ethical that is and that kind of thing. And I really don't want to reopen the wound, but let's just say that they've narrowed it down to a list of 100 people. This is coming from, I want to say, about 12,000 people entered to be chosen.
Mm-hmm.
So they've narrowed it down to 100. And now they have to narrow it from 100 down to about 24 people.
Okay.
So it's going on, that's making the rounds. And there's a lot of talk about when the government's going to step in and say, hey, you can't be throwing people into space like that. That's not ethical. And so we're going to keep an eye on the whole, is it even going to happen side of the story more than what's going on. So rather, there's a new, apparently there's a new technology out there.
Yeah. What is
It's called Li-Fi.
What is it called?
Li-Fi. L-I-F-I.
Okay.
Li-Fi internet breakthrough, 224 gigabits per second connection, broadcast with an LED light bulb.
Wow.
Yeah, who knew? So researchers at the University of Oxford, I guess it's reputable, have reached a new milestone in networking by using light fidelity, or Li-Fi, to achieve a bidirectional speeds of 224 gigabits per second.
Now,
to put this in perspective, 100 gigabits per second fiber optic core networks have only become a reality in recent years and have yet to become ubiquitous.
I have one question. Are they doing this with or without sheep?
No sheep.
No sheep?
No sheep. No sheep. So Wi-Fi is still a long way from being used commercially, but by way of illustration, using a 224 gigabit per second speed would technically allow for 30 movies, 1.5 gigabits each, to be downloaded in a single second. 30 movies a second.
Wow.
Crazy. So the technology is being developed as a potential alternative to Wi-Fi, and because it uses visible light spectrum to transmit data, when coupled with high-speed fiber internet connection, researchers believe they can offer speeds far greater than those attained by existing contemporary Wi-Fi technologies. And apparently, the maximum cap for Wi-Fi right now is 600 megabits a second.
Wow.
So apparently, the research published in the journal Photonics, letter, not Plutonics, details how the specialized broadcast LEDs and receivers operate with different fields of view and bands that affect the data transmission speeds. And then there's some jargon there that I do not understand, so I won't even try. So, a brighter future, the emerging technology has become has the potential to provide low-cost wireless internet more securely in localized areas, given that light is unable to pass through walls.
Yeah.
The fastest speed previously achieved using Li-Fi was in October of 2014, and they were only able to get 10.5 gigabits per second using Li-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a 22% increase, or a 22 times increase.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So they demonstrate that it works, it's here, and they even have a TED Talk on using Wi-Fi. It seems like a really cool idea because unlike Wi-Fi, that's one of its strengths is that it penetrates walls, whereas one of its weaknesses is that it penetrates walls. So if you use something like Wi-Fi, you're getting a very specialized local network, but it's very, very, very fast. So that can be cool all in itself.
Yeah, exactly. We're pretty much out of time. We have a caller, but I don't think we have time to take them. So but that's one thing. If you want to call us, and talk to us on the show, please don't wait to the last, couple of minutes, because we just won't have time to take your phone call.
Worst case scenario, you can send us an email live@computermere.com and we'll read it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Or call us tomorrow, one or the other.
Or call us tomorrow.
Or call us tomorrow, because we're pretty much out of time here. Hey, again, I want to thank our guests, Reltio and
Reltio.
Reltio, right? Exactly. And what was the name of the other company? Oh, it was Sentri. Yes, exactly.
Sentri.
Yes, exactly. Sentri for being here on the show, and thank you. Now tomorrow night, we're going to have Intel. Intel is going to be here on the show tomorrow night. They are with us on the third Wednesday of the month. It is the Intel Sponsor Hour, and we look forward to having Intel on in the first hour of the show. They always have interesting topics.
90 seconds.
They're telling us what's going on in Intel. It's certainly an informative hour, and certainly look forward to having Intel with us here on the show tomorrow night. And of course, in hour two, we'll continue doing Wi-Fi sheep and all those technology stories that you've come to know and love here on the program. And of course, our news stories brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Thanks so much for being with us here tonight. It was a lot of fun. Oh my goodness gracious.
What's that?
I don't know. I mean, we didn't even get to the Halo helmet.
Yeah, there's just because we cover some stories, that means there are many, many news stories that are very interesting out there that we didn't get to.
Yeah. And Dropbox makes it easy to upload files on iOS 8. I mean, those are great stories. We'll just have to come back to them at another time. But that other time is not tonight. We've got to wrap it up. Thanks so much for being with us here tonight. And so until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Yeah. All right. Well, good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. The caller is here. I can actually take the caller and see what he wanted, just for the heck of it. Nope, he's gone. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching us, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.